Because here Shvetaketu is asking, why am I not able to see the Supreme who is very close to me? And immediately our friend Uddalaka, where is he? He's in the forest. And what is there in the forest? There are all the trees. He's in a beautiful ashrama, right? He's in a beautiful ashrama, hermitage. He's living peacefully in the forest. There are trees all around him. And he is talking to his son Shvetaketu, and he's now showing this bee, this honeycomb that is there, beehive that is there in one of the trees that he can see, and he's showing to Uddalaka, look, see that beehive. Let me give you an example from the beehive. And he says, Yata Somya Madhukruto Nistishtanti Nanat Yayanam Vrukshanam Rasanam Samavaharam Yekatam Rasam Gamayanti Te Yata Tatra Na Vivekam Labante Amushaham Vrikshasya Raso Asmi Amushaham Vrikshasya Raso Asmi Iti Evamev Kalu Somya Imaha Sarvaha Prajaha Sati Sampadya Naviduhu Sati Sampadyamaha Iti. Beautiful verse and an amazing illustration, immediately showing the beehive. Look there at the beehive and see what is going on. From that, you can understand why, although you are very close to the Supreme in Sushupti, not just in Sushupti, in every state of consciousness of your life, you are very close to the Supreme, but still you don't understand he is there very next to you. Why? This is the same state as this. So let's look at this word. Yata somya madhukruta. Madhu means we know honey. Madhukrutaha means that which make the honey, which are these bees. Yeah. So yeah, somya madhukruto nishtistanti. They go around everywhere. Nanat yayanam vrukshanam. What do? They go to various trees that have flowers in them. They go to various trees. And what do? They collect nectars. Nanat yayanam vrikshanam rasanam samavaharam yekatam rasam gamayanti. So they go to every tree. Different bees go to different trees with flowers. They collect the nectar. And what do? They bring the nectar into the beehive. And all these nectars, they all getting collected, and that becomes the honey. There is no controversy with how Uddalaka has said. Now again, our rishis were naturalists. They knew how the natural environment worked. So he's taken this example. So this bee has gone to various flowers. It has collected the nectar and put it into the beehive. And then each nectar component from different flowers, when they are all put together, they have become the honey. Okay. Now let's think about these honey drops that is there in each honeycomb in the beehive. Te yata tatra na vivekam labante amushyaham vrikshasya raso asmi amushyaham vrikshasya raso asmi. So these individual nectars, droplets that is there in the beehive, they do not know that they have come from this flower. This particular honey drop in this comb does not know that it has come from this level, from this flower. Similarly, this honey drop does not know it has come from this level, from this flower. Te yata tatra na vivekam labante amushyaham vrikshasya raso asmi amushyaham vrikshasya raso asmi. So they do not know how this nectar drops do not know that they come from this flower. Evameva kalu somya imaha sarvaha prajaha. Similarly, my dear son, sarvaha prajaha, these jivas do not know that they have come from the sat. Sati there means sat. Sat sampadya naviduhu. Sati sampadyamaha iti. So what that means is, these drops do not know they have come from this flower. Similarly, the jivas do not know that they have come from this Brahman. And at the same time, these nectar droplets that are there in the beehive, they do not even know that they are in the beehive. Yeah, that is the situation, our situation, Uddalaka. You are very close to the Supreme all the time. Exactly like this nectar which is there in the honeycomb. So this honey beehive there is the Supreme Brahman. These individual droplets are the jivas. these individual droplets do not know that they are in this honeycomb. They do not know they have taken the ashraya in this beehive. So Somya imaha sarvaha prajaha sati sampadya viduhu sati sampadyama iti. Okay. So why they do not know? They do not know because of the ignorance. Yeah. So that is what Uddalaka is trying to explain with this illustration, saying that although the Supreme is very close to you, you do not know him. You are not making an effort to know him because of ignorance. What is that ignorance? Dvasuparna, Sayuja, Sakaya, Samana, Vriksham. Say again, birds, Vriksham. Rishis bring this again and again. Parishashvajate tayor anyaha pippalam swadati anashnananyaha abhichakashiti. Because this fellow, Jiva bird, he's got ignorance covered everywhere. So he does not even know that there is this bird which is next to him. The examples here is the droplet of nectar and the beehive in which it is in. And at the same time, these Jivas, when they were in during creation, before creation, where were they? They were inside the womb of the Supreme. And during creation, what's happened? They've come from the Supreme. They still don't know that they have come from the Supreme. Yeah. Why is that? We have done that in Srimad Bhagavatam about the sixth stage of creation, where tamasaha sarge. So there is the ignorance that comes in. So Uddalaka, by this example, when he looked at the bunny, the honey and the beehives, is giving an illustration to bring home the truth about ignorance. How the honey droplets do not know that they come this from this flower. How the honey drops do not know they are actually in this beehive. Such is the situation of the jivas because of their ignorance. And to illustrate this further, he says, because of that ignorance, what is happening to these humans? And that is important for us because, as I said initially when we started this, Navadvare, when we spoke about this, we said this is the sadhana sharira. This is the body that we have by which we gain knowledge and the Supreme. But if we have this ignorance and we amplify our ignorance and we do not even make an attempt to understand the truths, do not gain knowledge, that ignorance gets amplified. And when you are eventually gone from this world, you have not even spent the last 70 or 80 years that you are going to be alive to understand the truth. And you live your life in ignorance and you don't make use of the sadhana sharira that you have. Then what happens? The iha vyagro va simho va vruko va varaho va kito va patango va damsho va mashako va yad bhavanti tat tada bhavanti. So Shuddalaka tells him the fellows who don't make an attempt to gain knowledge, who are constantly in ignorance, what happens to them? They either become tigers, lions, the ferocious one that go and kill people, or they become cunning animals like fox, or they become dirty animals like pigs, or they become the very sorry states of worms, or they become flies, or they become mosquitoes, or they become house flies, all the things that he's seeing in the forest. Remember, Uddalaka is in the forest and he's seeing all this. And he says that is what they become because they're not making an attempt to gain that knowledge. And in that process, they go through the cycles of birth and death of different forms of life. And we know that 840,000 species that is described in Bhagavatam. Why? Because of the ignorance. What is that ignorance? Very similar to Madhu, the honeys and the beehive and the flowers. And that is the answer, Uddalaka, as to why, although this bird is very close to the pillar, it still does not recognize that this pillar is very close to it. Okay. So again, next what he says, Saya eshanima itadatmam idam sarvam tat satyam sa atma tat tvam asi shvetaketo. So there, how do you say? Atma atatvam asi. You are not that supreme being from whom you have come. You are not the supreme being who is like the beehive that is holding you. Yeah, you are not him. Yeah, although you are inside him. Tasmin, there it becomes Atma. Tasmin tvamasi. You are inside him. Atma tasmat tvamasi. You are here because of him, but still you are not the same person as him. Tat Tvam Asi Shvetaketo. Shed your ego, Shvetaketo, because you're not him. You did not create the universe. You do not control any damn thing. All that is you are inside him. You are because of him. That is why Tat Tvam Asi, in that honeycomb example. So again, the beauty of this verse is this honeycomb. If you look at the honey and where they are in the beehive, they are there. Yeah. So that gives you an idea of what Taittiriya Upanishad talks about. There is a famous verse that talks about the creatorship of the Supreme. Yato va imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yat prayanti, abhisamvishanti, tad vijijnasasva tad brahmeti. Look at those two words, Jivanti, Abhi Samvishanti. So this Brahman and Jiva combination is always there. This Brahman is always with Jiva throughout their careers, not only in samsara but also in moksha. He is always there. This Brahman is like the honeycomb, and the Jiva is like the honey droplet. So this Brahman is always there with the Jiva through Jivanti, through that he maintains them during their samsara, and at the same time when they are in moksha also, he is there. He's always there with you. So when Taittiriya Upanishad talks about this, we need to remind ourselves of how these examples actually fall into place. Okay, so we move on to the third illustration, but I don't think we have time today. We'll deal with the third illustration next week. I want to finish this series over the next consecutive 3 or 4 weeks with this illustration, because the sequence of thought process of Uddalaka is amazing and giving us great philosophies, looking at all the things that he sees around him. So the core message from the second example is ignorance of our origin and our relationship with the Supreme is the fundamental reason why we are in samsara, is also the fundamental reason, Shvetaketo, why you think you are such a knowledgeable person. You are standing in front of me like a pillar. Okay, so at this point of time, Shvetaketu, being a university student who's got the first rank in his Gurukula, he is immediately asking a very sensible question, and that question may also occur to some of us. But honey is a non-living thing, right? Honey is a jada. How can it know that it has come from this flower? Or how can it know that it is there in the beehive? That is not possible, because the honey is a jada or a non-living thing. Is what Shvetaketu pretends to be clever. He thinks he is very clever by asking his father, this question. But that is the doubt that he has, very similar to the doubt that we may have. The intention of Uddalaka there is to introduce the concept of ignorance in the second example, and he will develop and evolve that concept of ignorance as to how it happens to sentient beings in the third example. So the son asks, Bhuya eva ma bhagavan vijñāpayatvaiti tata somya iti hovacha. Okay, I'll clarify your doubt. HinduKnowledgeAcademy.com will celebrate Vedic culture and present its philosophies to the modern Hindu in an accessible format. Our ancient heritage is our greatest strength. Through preservation and dissemination, together let us spread positivity in the world. Thank you for listening and welcome to Hindu Knowledge Academy.